it's a really enigmatic film. You don't know what's happened prior to the characters arriving in this landscape. The closest you get to a hint of history is the carcass of the plane that we come across. In a way, I'm surprised that you even included that, because then that makes it very much a post-human film rather than something that's taking place at the dawn of time or on another planet or whatever. I mean, what kind of influenced that choice?
Yeah, I think that element is the only one except of the language, which is the remains from the old world, and I wanted to put it into one place, and of course it could be read like a philosophically based or mythological based story somewhere out of time, but I wanted to put it into our planet, but far, far in the future.
Well, even then, I mean, there's a crescent moon in one shot, which actually looks slightly alien, so it still feels, somehow of this Earth and not of this Earth.
Yeah.
If I could ask the actors, I mean, when you're performing in such an esoteric film, where all there really is kind of the intensity of your performances, what do you do to prepare for a role like that?
That's a good question. Yeah. It's funny, when you look at it afterwards, you kind of wish you'd done more in a way, because you've got so little to use in a way, especially with these costumes. You only have the eyes, really.
You did the great with your eyes, I think. Your eyes was good.
Yeah.
Well, conversely, Ingar, your performance is incredibly menacing, all from just the angle of the hood.
Yes.
It's, to embody, when you have so little dialogue, in order to embody menace. I mean, what do you do to prepare for that?
When I saw the costumes and I saw the landscape, I felt like I was like a rock belonging in this landscape. So if I just use my to be slow in his motions, I would be like. One of the pictures when I walk over this hill, I feel like it becomes a rock in the same. Did you see that when I told you? And I felt like he was turning into a rock, so I was thinking I'm a rock when I was going around there with some hidden emotions far in my head, but I couldn't get them into the future or in the present. But it was when we come to Iceland and saw this magnificent scenario. We went with the Range Rover, Land Rover, 5 hours
Sponsored
into
by.
every day, and it was so we were so alone. We saw one other person in 1 week, huh? Yeah. And I felt that the environment gave me the part, if you know.
But there was enough clean water to sustain you during this.
Yes, we had some clean water.
Bottled water.
So what were your influences in making this film? I mean, it seems something that's actually quite in the zeitgeist at the moment, because there's also Viggo Mortensen made a Western that's very kind of like oblique and again very much about the landscape that came out recently.
Yeah. The origin of this film was I wanted to make a film about dehydration shown as an acid trip, but that was not enough to make a film. So I had to let it fermentate inside my head for several years. And then I came across this theologist, Rudolf Otto, which was the first person to describe the experience of the encounter with the holy, called the numinous experience, which is a fascinating and terrifying mystery experience.
I think we'd call it the sublime.
Yeah, but sublime is when it's in aesthetics. But in religious studies, it's called numinous. That's a very important border in the emotions of the characters, because they do not think aesthetics; they experience something.
But as a member of the audience, it seems very much a film that's about aesthetics, about the sublime in the landscape.
Of course. As an audience, it's the sublime experience, but for me, it's very important that the characters do have this numinous experience. But at the moment I came across him, I also read H.P. Lovecraft, which do have a very fascinating description of impossibilities and experiences which drive you into madness, combined with this old tales about which is like the story about Cain and Abel, when he got this divine curse for eternal wandering as an
or Judas.
yes, yeah, Judas, and you have lots of examples of these stories.
But conversely, I mean, you know, I'm coming to this in terms of aesthetics, and it feels very much, as well as a work of cinema, it feels very much like an artist's intervention into the landscape, which has a rich history, you know, in terms of fine art. I mean, were those things that you were considering as well?
Yeah, my background is with a master in fine art from the Art Academy in Bergen. So, and I'm very into movies, which is in this style.
Yeah.
Like one of the main visual inspiration for the movie is On the Silver Globe by Andrzej Żuławski.
At least you finished this film.
Yes.
That's an in-joke for like 3 people in the audience.
Yeah, and also Turin Horse by Béla Tarr.
Okay.
And
Bergman as well, I'm getting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. But like in Turin Horse, or actually almost every of Béla Tarr's movies, he described this. The story is not interesting because the movie is so much more than only the plot or the story. It's images, it's emotions, it's sound, it's experience. So I think that's words which hits me in my belly. Everything is in the screenplay, and but the first draft I wrote it for the area in southern Algeria, Tassil N'Ajer, which do have this red dunes interrupted with this black sand rock formations like molars of an ancient beast. But for me, with this limited budget of £5,000, I was searching for a more available desert, and I came across these areas of Sandur landscapes of southern Iceland, and I did lots of research to get a clue of the topography and the where different places was on the map. So I had this map of Iceland, and I was searching for images from internet, and I was putting the images on the map, and decided how to make this film in 5 days. And I came across this image of this weird-looking cliff coming up from the desert, and I wanted to use that because it's quite hidden. It's not on any postcards. So,
well, but not only that, like the lady said, it's perfect because it looks like a squatting Buddha. So as much as Ingar takes on some of the aspects of the landscape, a part of the landscape actually looks anthropomorphic. It looks like the remains of a dead god or something, and certainly the way that you react with it, intensifies that impression.
yeah, and Ingar's reaction when he do not understand anything when he's there, his reaction is wrath in a way, and I was having a reference to in Islam, you have this ritual of throwing pebbles at the pillars of Satan in Mecca, and this old ritual or reaction, throwing something on.
Again, I'm going to Google all of this later.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
You need to read the books.
It's a film festival. What do you want?
Yeah, I wanted this landscape to be a sort of smoldering fire, which was the sound should be like something deep, noisy, smoldering thing, and I felt this silence would sort of calm the landscape, but I wanted a landscape which was more violent in a way. So, and also the music or the sound design is very important. I started the collaboration with a sound designer, composer in early stage of the screenplay, and and he worked together with me until the very end of the editing. So I wanted to approach a sort of silent movie use of music. So the music is an extension of both the landscape, which is also connected to the emotional aspect of the characters. So it's a smoothie of elements, experiences. We went on this location scout 2 days before the actors arrived to check if it actually was possible to shoot the movie. I haven't said that to you yet, but when we came to this cliff place the first time, the fog was so thick, so you couldn't see anything. You could you just saw sand, and there's no road there. But I have when I grew up, my parents took me to orienteering competition all the time. So I'm a good map reader. So with no GPS. But
you wouldn't get a signal out there.
Yeah, but and then me and the 2 crew members, the chef and the costume guy, we was coming there, and I had a feeling it's that direction, and we was waiting, and this was in the morning, and suddenly the sun was like a burning eye destroying the fog, and there it stood like an ancient beast. And this was exactly the same thing which happened when we shot the scene. So you have this the 2 characters in the fog, and suddenly the cliff come in front of you.
Well, as amazing as the cliff looks, I found some of the most beautiful shots were the ones that were entirely about the miasma that you'd get, just the glow in the background and then a sort of a silhouette of a figure. And it was really, powerful.
Thanks. I feel Rahab's character do have a curse of eternal wandering, and he needs to do these rituals, but when set character is destroying him, and then he tries do this thing with throwing, he get this curse of eternal wandering. So the story continue. So the first image of a person in the movie is the same composition as the last image of human in the movie. But in the beginning he walking towards you, and in the end he walking away from you.
The ritualistic ceremony of drawing the circle and the placing of the stones, was that based on any particular prehistoric rites that you came across, or something that you sort of came up with?
I came up with it from reading different creation myths and rituals, and looking on different ways of rites in religious past. So it's a new invention out of the remains of the existing and the lost